So my name is Ekua Kwanzaa, and I'm the head of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at an organization called the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research, otherwise known as CIFAR. And I lead the implementation of our EDI action plan, a comprehensive plan which covers all aspects of our organization, from our governance structures to human resources and talent, to data collection, to EDI within the research community. When I joined the organization a year later in 2021 and started to think through how to implement the plan, it's clear that we needed to determine our areas of focus. As a research organization, it was important for us to make data-driven decisions. So we needed a solution that could be customized for our unique situation, which Diversio has been able to do. And we needed a company that has global experience. We needed to be able to slice and dice the data in multiple ways and visualize the data in clear and accessible ways. And Diversio's survey and platform ticked all the boxes for us. Equity really means looking at who's not being well served by our processes, our policies, and our procedures, so that we can actively and intentionally remove barriers. So the data that we have now from our Diversio dashboards really allows us to answer that question, right? First of all, we know who is in our community and who is not in our community in terms of racial and ethnic identity, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. We have disaggregated data, which is really important. So we have detailed, subcategories for all of these aspects of identity. So, for example, we don't just know how many racialized people are in the CIFAR community, which is still important, but we know how many Black people, we know how many Indigenous people, we know how many people from other racialized communities. And this is essential, as we know that not all racialized people, for example, experience the workplace or the research community in the exact same way. And with Diversio's KPIs for inclusion, we also know what our pain points are, and we've been provided with corresponding recommendations and resources that'll help us to improve in the work that we're doing. So we have very clear direction and focus for the implementation of our EDI action plan, supported by the data. And we've been able to share this data with our board, with our executive team, with all of our staff, with the leaders of our research programs, and with our research community broadly. Data has power, right? It helps us to advance EDI and create meaningful change within our organizations. We can see the current state of our organizations, again, in terms of, what the issues are and what our strengths are. And then we can also see whether or not things are changing over time, right? And almost, I won't even say more important, but, equally as important is that it helps us to hold our leaders accountable. Right? So I would say if your organization is not collecting demographic and inclusion data, start now, right? And I emphasize the need to also collect inclusion data that is tied to identity. While it's helpful to know the diversity of your organization, I would say that that's not enough, right? As we know, having a diverse organization does not, necessarily equate to having an inclusive organization. So, it's been helpful for us because Diversio collects both, which is extremely helpful.